We do not build the world with our friends. We build it with our opponents, or we don't build it.
I'm an independent voter.
I'm voting for Kamala Harris.
I'm voting for Trump.
I don't think conservative policies are very good at achieving what I believe is good for society.
This is a message for all of those who feel our country is too divided. We know collaboration between opponents is foundational for a healthy democracy. That means people who disagree fiercely must still build the world together. Do we agree?
Donald Trump is kind of a vacuous narcissist.
I kind of see Kamala as more of just the face of a democratic machine promoting policies that I think is going to destroy this country.
He promised so many things, and to me it's like he lied.
I believe that the Democratic Party in general represents it way better than the Republican Party.
The Republican perspective is that this is causing illegal immigration to skyrocket.
As we see with the border bill that Democrats tried to pass, and Republicans shot it down.
World in Conversation is leaving behind the old paradigms of debate and win-or-lose conversations, leading the way for opponents to join forces and break new ground. Our trained facilitators step directly into the most pressing social issues of today, confident that every viewpoint holds a piece of the solution.
Illegal and legal immigration doesn't seem as much of a distinction at this point.
Like Medicare for all.
Student loan forgiveness and
just overall, I don't feel as safe as I did.
That he's very genuine to himself, but I don't think he's actually genuine to any of the politics he represents.
So the tensions of our different ideas are awesome, but how are you going to continue this collaboration across ideas that you don't agree with?
And holding those people accountable that we have influence on, that we elect, is something that I think we really do have power on if we all organize together.
Mm-hmm. What would you do if you saw each other on the street and one of you's a winner and one of you's a loser?
We are the ones that really need to step in and make sure that whatever the result of the election might be, it is respected.
People like you who are willing to engage one another, willing to engage across parties, across ideas, have a lot of influence. How are we going to stitch together, the electorate, the people, the citizens, so that we actually can move forward together? For over 20 years, we've pioneered a revolutionary approach that empowers those in conflict to create solutions together. We can solve problems with our opponents, one conversation at a time.
So, I wasn't certain. I thought about doing this class a couple months ago, and I wasn't certain about whether we would. And then, I don't know, with recent events, i.e. the U.S. elections, and there seems to be a lot of conversation about whether Donald Trump is going to take us into an authoritarian society and this kind of thing. And I thought, a lot of people don't, we throw words around like that. We throw a lot of words around like that, but we don't necessarily understand what they mean. Like we don't stop, because you have to really stop and think about what that means. And then I was thinking about, authoritarian societies, what we would call authoritarian societies. How many of us here in the room, certainly, have ever had a conversation with somebody from an authoritarian society? So that, like what we even know about what that means, or what it means to live under such a government, or, however it would be. And I thought, wow, because of the nature of the students that we have in class, I thought, what a really cool opportunity to have a conversation with some of your classmates who live under governments that our government thinks is authoritarian. Of course, there are people that think our government is authoritarian, but, it's clearly, that doesn't mean that it is. It's just that I just want to be clear. There are some sociological factors that come into play that we need to think about. So, if you go to the next slide here. So today, we're going to be talking about political rights and civil rights and civil liberties, okay? So keep this in mind as we're talking. We're at both levels. And political rights, we're thinking about participation in government. And by participation in government, it means participation in making decisions that impact the life of the collectivity. So, you have every large group of people needs leaders. You got to have leaders. If you don't, you just have a mess that some people have to. Hey, dudes, man, I see so many computers. Why do I see so many computers? Am I on? Why? Wait, but I still see a computer. Yeah, dude. Yeah, thanks, man. No, all the way. Like, come on. Like, here, can I, I'd love to be teaching in an authoritarian society, to be honest with you. You know, like how easy that would be? Or to be teaching in a society like that is communitarian and has a collectivist orientation, like Korea, for example. When I teach in Korea, I don't have to. I say something once, and I don't even have to say it, because if you knew that if you came into a classroom, you don't open, and if they say, listen, in this class you got to close your laptop, you would never, ever open your laptop. And the reason you wouldn't open your laptop isn't because you'd be afraid of me and the consequences. You wouldn't open your laptop because you'd feel ashamed that you're not following the rule that has been set and adapted by the entire group of people. And you'd be ashamed of your own behavior. The other people watching you, sitting around you, would be enough to tell yourself, oh man, I can't break the rule. There's something really nice about living in a system like that, where you feel like this, you feel an obligation to other people. Like you wouldn't put your feet on the back of that chair. Like you wouldn't do that. Because even if there's no one sitting in the chair, somebody is going to come along eventually and sit in the chair. They're just things you don't do. We modify our behavior according to what we think the wishes and desires and needs are of the other people around us, as much or more so than the wishes, needs, and desires of ourselves. And if you can just imagine how you don't have to worry about, you're trying to study and your roommates next door, the people next door, are blaring music at 8 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night. Like, you don't have to worry about that, because they're not going to be. Because they're thinking about you. And it's kind of nice, right? They're thinking about you. It's like, oh my God, people around me are thinking about me. So I just want to put that out there as a thing. Rights in government. Okay? So like, how much can I participate in how my government operates? Who is in the government? Decisions that my government makes, who the leadership is, and how we vote, and one thing after another, okay? Civil rights, these are these individual freedoms from government intrusion, because government is always going to intrude on the lives of certain individuals. Everything a government does, every decision a government takes, every law that is passed is going to benefit some people more than other people. Some people are really going to like it, and some people are going to like it less. That's the nature of life. And so how it is that we think about those things and how we live with those things and government intrusion and how intrusive the government is and how adaptable the government is in dealing with the rights of individuals. You know, being aware of that. We can't just like pound things down people's throats if they don't really want it. So speech, religion, privacy. You know, do we live in a society in which, you know, basically we can be assured that we have a lot of privacy. The government isn't snooping on us. They're not watching us. They're not, you know, I can do the kinds of things I want to do where I want to do it. Or maybe it does and maybe it doesn't matter. You know, we have, these are the questions that we're going to talk today. So we have, why don't you invite our volunteers up? Why don't you all come up, if you could? And wait, yeah, bro, you were on. So I said, can you go to the next slide before we introduce you? So I was looking at this freedom in the world chart, where it's an organization that really tracks how free countries are on different traits. So one is, you know, we're going to talk about political freedoms and civil freedoms. There's internet freedom. There are all sorts of different things. And I thought, out of 100. So Finland got 100 out of 100. For the most part, Scandinavian countries do really quite well in this regard. And they're very free in so many different ways. Okay? Finland's number one. The United States is 83 out of 100. Okay? So if you are an American and you think, wait, we only got 83 and Finland got 100, and we consider ourselves to be the freest country in the world, what are the Finns doing that got them 17 more points than us? So you got to start thinking about freedom in kind of a different way. Like, maybe I'm missing something, right? But then you look at China, is a 9 out of 100. Okay. Kuwait, 38. So Kuwait is partly free. We did Qatar because, I'll explain later. So Qatar is not free, but right on the cusp. Look at Saudi Arabia. Right. Iran. Iran's higher than China. Look at Egypt. And then, you know, so you have 5 of your lovely classmates up here who happen to be from countries on this list. And we have an opportunity to hear from them about how their lives at home are different than their lives here. Because when I think about the list, and I think about freedom, and I think about the way we talk about freedom here in the U.S., especially because it's this thing that's like everything's about freedom, 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 I think, well, their lives must be so incredibly different than the lives of those of you who are Americans or who are from other countries that are more or less free. Like Indonesia, for example, scores, by the way, 53. So, you know, it's right in the middle. So like, all right. So why don't you introduce yourselves and then we'll go from here. And we'll start with some questions.
Hi, my name is Yusuf. I'm from Kuwait, and I am majoring in aerospace engineering.
But you spent a lot of time in Qatar. That's why I put Qatar up on.
Yep, I spent probably about 6 years of my life in Qatar in a boarding school away from my parents.
Okay. And by the way, Qatar is very close to Kuwait. Okay. You can just leave the mics on, by the way. You're good? Yeah, you're good. It's on.
Sorry about that. Okay. Hi, my name is Della. I'm majoring in criminology. I'm a senior, and I'm from Iran.
Hey, where are you from in Iran?
I'm from the capital, Tehran.
From Tehran?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dima Steri. I'm a student here at Penn State, but I'm also a teaching assistant for this course. I work alongside the grading team and also the translation team. I'm from Saudi.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ziad. I'm majoring in data science, and I'm a senior.
And where are you from?
Egypt.
From Egypt. But you spent a lot of time, you were born in Maryland, right, initially?
Yeah, right.
But you're from Egypt, you're Egyptian, but you spent a lot of time in Saudi Arabia, too.
That's correct.
So you can talk about both Egypt and Saudi.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
I'm Zhu Ling, from China.
Yeah, where in China?
Okay, from Xinjiang.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Wait, and how, Zhuling?
Zuling.
Zuling. Okay. Zuling, Ziad, Dima, Dela, and Yusuf. All right, I got that. Okay, so by the way, pretty cool, right? So here we are. I mean, this is like, what an awesome opportunity. It's like, oh man, okay. You know, Trump this morning, was he talking about Iran? So like, you know, future President Trump, I should say, past and future President Trump, which is kind of odd. The only person who's ever had that, I think. I don't know. Anyway, was talking a lot about Iran, and so like, but we get to hear from a real Iranian, okay, about life. All right. So here's my first. By the way, we had a question from the stream asking if we could really define freedom. Why don't you guys define freedom? Well, yeah, someone on the stream asked, like, wait, can you just define freedom? Like, hang on, why don't we not do that? Why don't we get someone in class is going to define freedom for us when we're done with today's class? All right? No. When we're done with today's class, we're going to do it. What's that?
I have the answer now.
Oh, what's the answer now, dude?
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Dude, all right. No. Dude, hang on. Yeah, fucking Americans, you know, we're clapping for ourselves. Dude, first off, that's rhetoric, all right? We're not doing rhetoric here. So life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, okay? All right, so here. God. All right. Let me ask you this question. So you're not going to all answer each one of the questions, but know that we'll just kind of jump around. And but now that you realize we're having this is the conversation. So we've talked a little bit before, but you know this is the conversation here about how life is different here than back home. Just what your lives are like. How protective do you feel of yourself? Like how much, like in your minds, are you thinking of what you can and can't say, for example, or you should or should not say?
I don't really have too much censor. I can kind of really say whatever I want, unless I'm too critical of the government.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
if you start getting too critical of the government, then you would back off a little bit.
Yeah.
So as you're
essentially.
sitting here, you're thinking like, all right, yeah, let me not do that.
Yeah, I think I could say pretty much whatever I want.
But okay, all right. Anyone else want to respond to that? Uh-huh.
Okay, so we don't actually have any freedom. Even when I'm here and talking to all of you guys, I have to be careful of what I say. Because even the slightest thing, even like wording, not even opinion or anything, will kind of be offensive to our government, and it will face extreme stuff like going to prison or stuff like that.
But let me ask you this question though. But you just saying that, it's okay to even say it? Can you say that?
for them, this will be more of an explanation of what is happening.
I got you. Okay.
But if I say something, my opinion, for example, if I say like, you know how like we say hey, which is like informal, but you say hello, like it really like it's different words.
Yep.
This is like something like that. I can give my opinion, not give my opinion. I can say something and explain it, but I can't give my opinion at all.
I got you. So like so the government knows. The government's not in denial about the government.
No, it isn't. Even there are cases that when we want to enter the country as like a Iranian citizen, they do before entering the country, they do some type of background check so that they can see if you did something in here.
Well, like I got denied a visa 2 times going to Iran. So, and you said the Iranian and everyone's like, dude, the Iranians let everyone into Iran. I'm like, they didn't let me 2 times, so I don't know what they know about me that they do. I mean, and I got invited, so to be a speaker. All right, Dima, how about you? Like when you thought about like, hey, well, you don't have to answer it. It doesn't matter. We can go to our next question, actually. Does anyone have an answer?
I feel like you want me to answer. I feel like I relate to what Yusuf said, as in like I do feel like I could speak freely, just like I wouldn't necessarily criticize the government in that extent, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the idea is, well, first off, the first question is, would you even want to? Like when I go talk about, when I'm in another country and I'm talking about the United States, for example, I don't feel any compulsion to criticize the United States. It doesn't even matter. Like whatever, I'm just talking about life. Why do I even want to do that? We're talking about other things. So
yeah, I agree. I feel like if you speak to any Saudi here at Penn State, and there's a lot of us, you would not hear any criticism. We're very proud to be from Saudi, and we're very proud of our country.
Yeah, because you're doing other things, right? Like, I mean, you're not going to, okay, partly you're not going to hear criticism because you're just busy doing other things, thinking about other stuff and doing other things.
Yeah, we're busy being the Saudi Arabian youth and representing Saudi.
Got you. Yep, got you. Julian, do you have a similar kind of thing? When you think about, you come up and volunteer to represent China. Are you in your mind thinking like, to what degree in your mind are you thinking, okay, what I can say, what I can't say, like?
Well, I don't really have that sort of thing in head.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike the most of, on the top, like it's not free to talk about things. I mean, most of the time we can say what we want to say.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, here, let me ask you this. When you think about rights and liberties back home, okay, and here in the United States, like the difference between rights and liberties at home and here in the United States, what stands out? Is there anything that really stands out? This can be anybody, by the way. It's like what are some of the first things that jump out for you?
So the first thing that comes out is legally owns weapon.
Legally owned weapons?
Yes, weapons.
Like guns?
Yes, like guns.
So you just think that?
Yeah, that's the first thing that comes up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you, and what do you think about? Like what? I mean, what comes up like, wow, how strange is it for you that Americans have so many guns, for example?
I would say it's pretty strange. I mean, not strange, but it's pretty different from what China is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because, so let's say owning a weapon, it's not bad. It's just the society, its progress. It depends on the person that's in the backwards.
So do Chinese want to own guns? Is it a conversation that you all have? You're like, oh, I wish we had guns like the Americans do.
Well, so I mean, like, we don't want guns because so back in China, like the environment that I grew up is very safe.
Mhm.
So like we don't feel that we need a weapon, but yeah, but sometimes, you know, on the movie or when we are playing video games, like we were just wondering, like, what does it feel to shoot a real gun?
How
Like,
would
how
it
does
feel?
it feels like? But yeah, that's it.
Would you want to shoot a real gun? Have you
Yeah.
ever shot one?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you have, all right.
Yeah, I had.
Yeah. Have you ever shot one?
In our schools, you have to, women especially, have to take a class. They teach us how to use guns. And it's like going to a military school, but we have to pass that class. We hold a gun, we know how to use a gun. They even put like objects, any type of object in front of us, and they technically prepare us for any type of war.
So Second Amendment people here, there you go, the Iranians, they're on your team. You know what I mean? Like the whole country is. Like, and women in particular, like how awesome is that? How about when you think about, Ziad, when you think about rights and liberties that back home, or like either in Egypt or in Saudi Arabia and here, like what kinds of things come up? Like what do you see?
I guess here you could like say whatever you want. That's not the case in the other countries.
So it's speech is a big thing.
Right, for sure.
How about for you though? Like being here and being either in Egypt or in Saudi, like how is that for you? Do you like how's life different?
I mean, for me, I'm not affected by it at all because why even like, you know, talk against the government or like say, you know, something you're not supposed to say? Why get yourself in trouble, basically?
Yeah, why do that? Right. Well, okay, that's a good question. Dima, why do that? Like,
I feel like I have insight on that. I feel like because we're not a democracy. You guys, like in the United States, you guys have to be vocal about like political stances or like to influence people because you guys are the ones that's like going out there to vote. But why would we? Because we don't have like, we don't necessarily go out and vote, at least in Saudi. So I feel like that is the main, like the bigger difference.
So right, so why that means, so how much trust, you have to have a lot of trust in your leaders though, to be like, yeah, y'all are gonna make the right decisions in order to feel comfortable.
Yeah, and I feel like as Saudis, we agree that we have enormous trust in our leaders, especially the Crown Prince, because we've seen the change and we've seen such advancements that Saudi Arabia is one of the leading countries in change right now. Mm-hmm. So we do have that trust, and the trust is like right. Yeah,
and like if you don't, and people don't understand that, right? Like people don't get that. If you haven't been to Saudi, like you don't get that, right? Could you say more about it, just as a thing here?
About what exactly?
Just that trust, like. Why would you have trust in your leadership? But if you look at what has happened in Saudi Arabia over the past 20 years, 30 years, you'd be like, well, go check it out. Look at things, right? If you haven't seen it, like for example, so the World Expo is coming in 2030, okay? And Saudi just won the World Expo. So Korea asked me to go to Paris a year ago, and they said, can you speak to the nations, right? There's a gathering of representatives from the nations about why Korea should have the World Expo. And I'm like, whoa, damn. So first of all, it's pretty cool to be able to be this guy representing the country, the nation of Korea, South Korea, okay? But Korea was up against the Italians, who didn't stand a chance, and the Saudis. And I'm just like, dude, Korea's going to win this thing. Now, I've worked in the Middle East for over a decade, so I travel a lot in the Middle East, and to Qatar a lot, and Kuwait, and been to Iraq. Okay, so, but I'm thinking like, yeah, but Korea's going to win this because Korea is so advanced technologically. And then I watched the Saudi presentation, and I was like, oh.
Korea don't got money like that.
Dude, they don't have money like that, man. No, first off, they don't have money to give away to other nations to vote for them. But also, what Saudi is planning for the World Expo, I was like, holy shit. Whoa, man. So when you're saying, like, trust in the government, you know what I mean? It's like you can't understand what that means if you don't have any experience of what it would mean to be Saudi and trusting in the government.
Yeah, and I feel like because of that ambitious project, like we're happy to host the World for Expo 2030, but also our other projects like are already giving us tourists. Yeah. I was just in Saudi this October, and so many places we've gotten like I see the tourists going around and seeing the project, seeing what we're working on, and this is why like we have that trust, because we see results and we see success, in other words.
Yeah, you see it. Huh. So how much do you feel when you're Kuwait's a little different, right? So Kuwait, you got a 38 score, so it's a little bit different, right? But how much do you feel like when you go back into Kuwait that you're kind of under a watchful eye? So think about the title of today's class. Like when to what degree do you feel like, whoa, hang on, I got to change my behavior here a little bit because I'm going to be watched more than, say, at Penn State in the United States?
I mean, to be honest, I feel like I'm watched there less than here.
Yeah? How so?
As an international student, like, we feel like we have to stay silent about, certain things about the U.S. and so on. We can't voice our opinions like other Americans. We just feel like we should keep to our own and not really express what you feel.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I got you. So there's actually there you feel comfortable being yourself.
Essentially.
And what they were saying about Saudi and like critiquing the government, do you have a similar thing about the Kuwaiti government, or this like, yeah, what's the point?
Yeah, we kind of put full trust to our government.
Does it surprise you that Americans criticize our government as much as we do? Like people are yelling and like.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of Americans just really are very critical of governments in general.
Yeah.
Their own government, other governments. They just think about it a lot. They always have an opinion about it.
Yeah, like most of the average American wouldn't be happy with any. If they were a country of one person and they were the government, they still wouldn't be happy. So it's just like, God, it's just part of the DNA here. Zuling, then I want to come to you in a second. Are you surprised at how much Americans critique how much you see of criticism here? Or not? Were you prepared for it, or?
Well, not exactly. So I came here in high school. So I was studied in New Hampshire for high school. And so I think in New Hampshire there is a saying that live free or die, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, but so in my homestay, I can hear they criticize the government a lot, and I think that was during the last election when Biden wins.
Yeah.
And my homestay was really upset about it because they really like Trump, and so like I can hear them criticize about it. But like for me, like I mean, generally in China we do like sometimes like when we are talking in the table, like we sometimes would do that, but most of the time like we don't spend that kind of like focus on what governments are focusing on, like what they are doing, because we are generally like we trust the government, and we just let them do what they are going to do, what they should do. Yeah.
Hey, how much does Saudi Arabia have all the cameras in public places that China has? You guys don't, right?
Like to be watched?
Yeah. You guys don't have many.
No, like surveillance cameras.
Surveillance
like
cameras,
ones.
yeah.
Yeah, the ones that like everyone has.
Yeah, so now.
Not to the same extent.
Yeah. How is it, so when you're in the streets in China, and everywhere you go, I mean, there are just cameras everywhere, man, right?
Yeah.
Does at some point in time, because I know, at some point in time, do you just kind of block them out, or are you thinking about it all the time, or?
No, actually. Most of the time I think I'm protected.
You're protected?
Yeah, because look, I'm not a criminal, and I'm not planning to start a crime. So, and all the cameras are in public space, so you're already being watched by other people. It's just there are some cameras there.
Got you.
And so like it's nothing different, and I mean nobody is like just staring on all the cameras there, like seeing how everyone is doing. Like that's not going to happen. It's just if some place, like some store is being stolen, and the police officers, they would check the cameras for the streets over there, like and nearby, to see where the criminals go and to track them down.
But like you say, the crime rate's low anyway, so you're protected by
Yes, I am.
Hey, Dela, how different is your life at Penn State than your life at home, than your life in Iran? Like day-to-day life, right? So, this is the question. Like, your day-to-day. If you were in Iran today, you were going to university in Tehran. At what point would your life be different?
In my country, the question that you're asking really depends on the class of people. So
the social class.
Yeah, it really depends. Like any social class has their own different lifestyle, to be honest. But mine will be going to our classes doesn't matter at all. Any class starts at 8 or 7 in the morning. So we automatically, depends if you like to get up and dress up or whatever, but you automatically have to get up at 6 or 7 and then drive to your school, because most of our schools don't really have dorms.
Yeah.
Because most of them are in the middle of the city.
Okay.
So everybody drives to, not everybody. We do have international students, but they mostly live around the university, so that doesn't.
Okay, so you're gonna go to
we're gonna go to school, and then we have specific. It's more like a high school, to be honest, at this point. Our universities, we have specific lunchtime, and then if you don't eat lunch, you're done. You have to go back to class. No other chance for that.
Okay, so you're going to go to class. You're going to sit in class like this.
Yeah.
You're going to fall asleep because the professors are boring.
Oh, actually, no. If you fall asleep, you're going to be called out, and they're going to kick you out of the class.
Oh, dude. See, I knew I wanted to teach in Iran. Okay.
They're going to kick you out of the class to, I'm saying, it's literally like a high school. They're going to, I don't know, you're going to have a whole speech with them after class. And then right now, some people are not taking notes, but we have to take notes.
Okay, I got you.
We can bring, most of the universities, recently everything has changed, but during the past years, most years, by change, I mean the last year, but we have to take notes. We have to have notebooks. If you don't even have to write anything, you have to act as if you're writing something, so you can just try or anything.
Well, that's actually, there are a lot of schools here where that wouldn't be very different. Let me ask you this question. How about your just your social life? Like, you know, think about like just your social life, your ability to go. What do? You visit
and
your
like
friends.
University-wise, like
nah,
in
just
university.
like on the weekends, you're gonna go hang out with your friends. You're gonna do this. You're gonna like how? Look, I mean, here you are in ripped jeans, right? Would you wear those in Iran?
Yes, recently, but for other people that don't know, we have something called morality police.
Yeah.
They're just there to tell you wear your hijab because we have to wear hijab.
But would they tell you like, hey,
yeah,
I don't
if
like
they
seeing
see
your knees right there?
Recently, for like maybe the past almost a year, they can because of something that's happening in my country that I'm just not gonna mention otherwise because I'm gonna whatever. But they don't tell you. But the past years, yes, they will. We have a van. There's a van that's there, and they will take you to the van. And they will kind of take you to the police station to just like give
to have a talking
to you, and so you can't wear these. You have to have a specific length of your hijab and stuff.
Okay.
So back to the social life wise, not this year, but the past years, it's been getting very good. But the past years, there are like specific like neighborhoods. Let's say 90%. I know whoever is Persian or has experience here or the people who are watching are going to disagree with me because that's what we do. But guys and girls can really get close to each other. So we can hold hands when the police is passing by. We can have official parties and stuff. So the only thing we do when it comes like hanging out socially and stuff is going to a cafe, even with our guy friends, going to a cafe and smoking hookah, because we also can't drink alcohol or whatever.
Yeah.
So hookah, cafe, eating something, or like going to specific streets with our cars and kind of like flirting. This is like a thing that's kind of funny because there are specific streets in my country that people kind of hang out, but like guys and girls are just passing out with their cars and they're all getting each other's numbers, blah, blah, blah.
So in other words, right, everyone's going to find a way around that.
Yeah.
I remember being at a cafe in Qatar, in Doha. In Doha. Yusuf.
Yes.
Yeah, Kuwaiti, but spent time in Doha, right? Or in Qatar. Okay. I remember sitting at this cafe, eating, and watching these young people on one side of the restaurant and on the other side of the restaurant, they were talking to each other via text message, right? And they were clearly communicating. Each one was with kind of their friends, and I could figure out which of the two people were actually really talking to each other, but they couldn't talk to each other, right? Like they couldn't sit with each other, but they're like engaged in this relationship together. And I thought, okay, that's very creative. That's pretty cool. Can I ask the two of you, like, how's your life different here than back home? Because a similar kind of question, just your social life in your life.
I don't think it's that different. And the reason I say that is, I don't know, like, I still go out with friends, same as here. I do still try, like, I dress modestly here, but also in Saudi, we do wear abayas. And it's like, I'm not even sure how to describe it. It's like traditional clothing. A lot of people almost everyone wears it like for religious reasons, but there's also the cultural aspect of that. So you'd see a lot, like it's common for Saudis to wear these abayas, and we actually love wearing them. And then there's the different designers of abayas. So I feel like that is the biggest difference. And for like men, they'd most likely be wearing thobes, which is also another traditional clothing. But there's a big part of it is not religion, which is a big part of it is also culture.
Yeah.
Because we do have the foreigners who choose not to wear abayas, and like they're good.
Yeah, so it's fine. Bro, do you wear a thobe when you are in Saudi? Do you wear a thobe?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Do you wear a thobe when you're in Saudi?
No. You don't really have to.
Yeah, I know. But a lot of guys, a lot of guys do though. You know, so many people do.
Right.
Yeah, but you don't.
I never liked them really.
Hey,
I'm going to catch some heat for that, by the way.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Dude, how is Egypt, your experience in Egypt, different than Saudi? So, like, look, Saudi has a score of 8 out of 100, and Egypt has 18 out of 100. Does that mean anything to you?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. What can you do? What's available to you in Egypt that's not available in Saudi? Is there anything that you could think of?
Not really. I mean, you can do whatever you want if you don't get caught, right? But, you know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You can do anything you want if you don't get caught. Is that true in China? You got all the cameras, though, dude. In China, that's going to be a little bit more.
They already caught him thinking about it.
Yeah, just thinking about it. Like, they get you right there. So how often are people sitting around, how often are people thinking about how they can break the rules and not get caught? How about that? As opposed to just accepting that, okay, I can't do this thing.
Can I go? So you're saying like just thinking about it and breaking.
Yeah, how often are people, but listen, I want to say this to you, right? I used to show a video in this class about Iran, about the party scene in Iran, in Tehran. These are the upper class kids, upper middle class kids. Yo, man, it was like, first off, everything from the clothing to the hair, the mini skirts, like, damn, it was like, I was like, any American, if anybody here watched that video, anybody would be saying like that, all that, the handsome people, man, the beautiful, anybody here would be like, I got to go check out that party scene, man. That looks rocking, you know. And that's Tehran, right? That's the space. So it's like you need to know where you're gonna go, and you need to know how to do it, and you make it work. And I'm thinking, well, what's so bad about living in Tehran? If that's like if you got money and that's the party scene, I don't understand what the problem is.
For the clothing part, first of all, before that, when I'm in hijab, I don't mean like the hijabis in US. We wear a scarf that's like till here.
Yeah.
So we have to. And then about the clothing part of the party-wise, what I'm wearing right now in the street, it's like, respectfully, it's like something that a lower class person would wear.
Got you.
So the clothing is still there, except the mini like skirt. We dress up like that too. But the main question you asked, 99.9999% of the time we're thinking to do that, and then just disagree and break the law and stuff like that.
People just do what they want to do.
They just do what as long as you don't get caught, just do it.
So
That's
the
all that matters.
idea is you can only police people to the degree to which they're going to be policed.
Yeah, you just
They're
have
willing
to
to be
have
policed.
you just have to have the evidence. If you even get caught by the police and they don't have the evidence to show you're like, oh, I didn't do it, so we're just gonna go.
Yeah, well, that was pretty clear in this video, man. I mean, it was just like a rockin' party scene that would make Penn State parties look pretty tame, actually. And like, yeah, that's wild. Is that in Saudi? Is that a thing, or is y'all just like? How's the party scene in Saudi Arabia, man? How about that? Not that the two of you wouldn't know that, but what have you heard from other people about the party scene?
I feel like in every area there's like that part, but I don't know. I guess there are parties, but they're not mixed parties, and they're not like Penn State parties. Not one bit.
Yeah, they're definitely not mixed. Yeah, bro.
There's usually like a lot of raves in Saudi Arabia. It's just, you know, you just need to go somewhere where no one's gonna come, right?
Yeah. So you got to find it.
Right.
And so you know by word of mouth, and you go and you make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think that? What is? Bro, can you? I want to come back to you for a second on this. About government and trust, right? So the average Americans, in particular, I'm going to talk about Americans for a second, because Europeans, similar with Europeans, but it's different. Americans we're just like a unique DNA. We just demand to have the ability to say what we want to say, like radical free speech, and we just want to be able to say it. Even if we're speaking into the wind, we just want to feel like we can say it. Like I can call Donald Trump all sorts of four-letter words, and I should be allowed to call him that, or Biden, or anybody. And that's a good thing that I can do that, even if I don't. And I have the feeling that you would say, what does that get you? Like, what's the benefit of that? Like, why, to like the Americans, right? Like, no, we should be allowed to say anything we want, but you would say, from what you said earlier, well, why? What's the benefit of that? What do you actually get from that? Am I right on that, or can you?
So on that, I don't, like, I wouldn't think about the benefit, because like when you are criticizing someone, they don't like whether a person is working in the government or not. You're just expressing your feelings. And in China, we can do that too. Like we can like criticize the head chair if you're not happy with him.
Yeah.
And like you won't get caught for that.
But if you do it, if you do it online, right?
Technically, it's okay, because I've seen a lot of people doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's
in the
happening,
social media.
right? I mean, the Chinese are monitoring the internet, but there's, over a billion Chinese, 1.4 billion Chinese putting a lot out on the internet. It's hard to monitor all of it.
Well,
but I guess I'm trying to understand, like, the desire. How much desire do you have to critique the government versus just live your life? You know what I mean? It's like I wonder if sometimes here in the U.S. we get so hung up on wanting to criticize that we forget to just live your damn life, man. Like, what are you criticizing for?
Yeah, so like in the most of like Chinese people's mind, I would say like at the most of the time we wouldn't care about what government is up to, like what they are doing, and like that's something that my grandfather would do.
Yeah.
But like other than that, like I not even see like my uncle.
Okay.
Do
Why,
that.
and why is that? Because you can't. Because it doesn't matter anyway. Like, government's not going to listen to you.
No, like government would listen to you if like it's true. Like, but it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, we're having a life, and the government is like what they did is satisfied us, and like we don't feel we need to criticize about it.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're feeling satisfied, Can somebody else respond to this? Like this idea that Americans have here in particular have this idea that the ability to criticize
Americans have too many opinions, man. Like,
yeah.
Honestly, like if what you're gonna say is not gonna like cause a major change, then you should just shut up, right? It's cool. You don't have to say anything.
Right? Just get on with your life?
Right. I mean, that's kind of why like we don't criticize the governments in our countries, right? Just because whatever you're going to say is not going to change anything.
So just go in the kitchen and make a smoothie.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
Even my country, we do that a lot. We just disagree. But the thing about Americans that I think it may not be true, but you guys just like say different stuff from random places. If you focus on one thing and just try to like focus on that and make a change, that would be way better. You guys have just different opinions about anything.
Yeah, so many opinions, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I want to add on to what she said. I feel like that happened after like the US has become so polarized that if you're not on this team, you should 100% the other team is the enemy, and you should be like cursing them out and like saying the four-word letter. But like, it's because of this polarized, it's because you guys are led here that you like have to see the other side as the enemy, which is kind of very interesting to see like as foreigners.
So you guys, so you all, each one of you sort of has one team. Like, I mean, you're one team. You're like the Team China, Team Saudi, Team Iran, Team Kuwait. It's like, yeah, whatever. Like, let's move on with this. Do any Americans have, does anyone want to, would anyone want to respond to that? Like this idea that, it's like, what's the point? Like, bro, no. The dude right here. I mean, it's just a question. We're talking sociologically, by the way. So so bro, as you get ready to respond, understand that this is it's like I'm making really what is a sociological point here, about life. It's like, well, whatever, just get on with life, Anyway, yeah. No, yeah, to flip.
Is this on now? Okay.
Yep.
So, to respond to what you were saying, I want to talk about what Zuling was saying about the cameras and how he's not a criminal, so it makes him feel safe. But I think a lot of Americans have this idea that the government could commit a crime against them.
Yeah.
So it's not about like criminality, and when we were talking about the Second Amendment, it's about protecting yourself from the government overall.
Yeah, this is the point right here. Like, protect yourself. Dude, your government's pretty powerful, man. And if you misstep a little bit, you know, they could be watching you on the camera and suddenly they're hauling you off somewhere. And you're like, dude, if they were watching me on the camera, I'm protected from you, the government. That's the arm of the state. But what you're saying is, yeah, but I don't think about that.
So what you're basically saying is, like, we are protecting ourselves from the government, but
like if you could turn off all the cameras, the government can't watch you. So then you're okay. So if the government's not watching me, then they can't tell me I've done something wrong, and they can't punish me for something that they think I did wrong, even if I didn't do anything wrong. Like, already, everything you said today is fine, right? You haven't said anything against your government. But somebody in the government could watch the video and be like, oh, okay. No, but we didn't like that thing, which is not going to happen, but it could.
So it's like, so that's one thing that's different between Chinese people and American people. Because, so generally in China, we trust our government, because based on the past 6-7 decades of the lives, we just like there's, like we didn't find out that the government are doing things that would harm the people, and trying to hide it. And instead of that, so one thing the Chinese government is doing is, so for the countries that are having lower salaries in China, some village, they would send like several government officers go to that village and live for like 2 or 3 years about that, and help those people to like they would help them with farming, or like raising some like cows or pigs, like to help them to get more to make more money.
Okay, but
Yes.
how is that related to the?
Yeah, I'm saying like just judging
the
by
point
the
is you have trust.
Yes. So
You
like
have
judging,
trust.
yes, judging by the past
I got
facts,
you.
like
And
we are
and-
trusting.
Okay, so here, and we don't have trust, right? If the government pulls into a village and says, we're here to help you, the people in a small town would be like, go away. Like, we don't trust you. You're
Wh-
here to take something from us.
Which I find interesting because you guys are electing those governments.
Yeah, right. And you're not even electing them, and so you have a certain trust of them. Yeah. Huh. That's so interesting.
Can I add something? I
Yeah.
think my government is in between, which is kind of funny because what he said about it was right because we don't feel safe in general. But then at the same time, when they want to help us, we trust them. When they want to come to us for help, like we have to see that they're helping. But other than that, if we're random, because we do have cameras too in our streets, so like if we're randomly like walking like the way he's talking about that, we'll be like, we don't feel safe, like the way that Americans will be like, oh, they're watching us, so we don't feel
So
safe.
your idea, okay, I got you. But mostly, it's not, the cameras are spying.
There will be more like a spy in
You
our
feel like a spy,
opinion,
yeah.
but because they actually sometimes are, like for example, the camera is looking at you.
Oh, totally.
To be honest, right now I am waiting any second somebody coming out of that door. It's like that bad. It's making us paranoid because that actually happens many times.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Huh. Anybody? Is there a question on the stream, by the way? Can you put it up?
I also just wanted to ask all of y'all, because one of the biggest conversations in states is the difference, how freedom's different to different types of people.
Yeah.
Like not just racially or just identity politics, but just, in an individual level. And I was wondering, because we're just talking about general freedom in the country, like how do you guys perceive people receiving different types of freedoms in your countries?
Like, so for example, one thing that was said is the upper class, the highest class people have the most freedom, right? Like in China, in Saudi, in Iran, in Kuwait. Like if you have more money, you have more freedom because you have more connections, more pull, more whatever, right? Huh.
I feel like that's right for everywhere in the world.
That's everywhere. That's true everywhere.
Like especially in the US even. Like,
Yeah, it's true everywhere. Go. Okay, what do you got? Do you feel you can critique the U.S. government more or less than the country of origin?
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
So my major is international politics, and the funny thing is, when you don't criticize the U.S. government, you feel left out because everyone else is.
Yeah. Great. So like in all your classes and stuff. But do you feel weird as a Saudi, like, oh yeah, in the United States, like da 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 da?
No, I don't go that far because I try not to offend them. At the end of the day, they are U.S. citizens. But like when it comes to like their political stance, what they think, and all of that, I'd love to like pitch in more because I don't know, it's fun.
Ziad, do you have that? Do you feel like you can like critiquing the U.S.? Is it kind of fun because you can?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like critiquing everyone everywhere I go, so.
Yeah, you seem like a guy who's pretty willing to throw your thoughts out there.
Can I add something to that? I can't do any of them, to be honest. I can't do U.S. I can't do my country. Like none of us can.
No, if Americans find out you're Iranian, like you're not allowed to say anything bad about.
See, she even agrees with me. Yep,
Yeah.
that is the case. Because otherwise, if we critique like a little bit too much and somebody says something, we have to go back to my country. For our guys is way worse than the woman, so we can't do any of them.
Yeah, so
Otherwise,
you're
it's
like,
just, so.
You have same.
I feel like because their like nationalism like kicks in of like, no, we're U.S. citizens, like, and then they get that. But then like but I feel like that's rarely happened. Like I feel like every American is very open to like any criticism from like even the world, and like especially when it comes to their government, because the U.S. election is one of like the most popular.
No, you can pretty much you're really free to critique the U.S. government, Americans. It's just part of. We love that, just join in.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I remember earlier saying that I do feel more watched here than back home, but I feel like I'm more legally protected here to say whatever I wanted to, at least about the U.S. government.
Yeah.
But I still do have the thought in the back of my head, like, if I say a bit too much, I'm afraid, I could risk myself because I'm Arab.
Yeah.
I'm Arab, I'm Muslim, so people might be like, oh, wait, he thinks something very bad.
Yeah, I got you. So you're not. Uh-huh. Yeah. Dude.
Hello? So I feel like when you guys were kind of talking about like just because something can be said doesn't really means to be said if it's not going to come upon anything. And I feel like in America, like there's a portion of Americans that think chocolate milk comes from brown cows. Like obviously not everyone's opinion is going to be all well thought out and educated and focused on every detail, but everyone's allowed to have their own opinion here, and that's what makes it important. But at the same time, if we start kind of getting on one another and creating taboos around the way that each of us think, we're going to wind up excluding other people and forming these groups, and that's kind of how we've reached a two-party system where everyone on one side hates the other. Because if you don't agree with me and you don't share my ideas and the way that I think, then you don't have my best interest in mind. And less of the fact that the government isn't protecting us or doesn't care about us, but that the government cares more about themselves than they do the general people.
So I'm wondering, given what you said, I'm wondering if people were less vocal here in the U.S., it were less, and this is what I think you're saying, really. If we were just less vocal in throwing our inane ideas out there, which don't matter at all, like really, if we just stop doing a lot of that, and then working ourselves into a frenzy of disregard and fear and hate, ultimately, we could all really get along because we wouldn't be thinking that these people are my enemy because they think differently than I do. And yeah, that's kind of interesting. Dude, can you, right here. Do you have another question from the stream? Go ahead. Thomas from Georgia says, when it comes to authoritarian laws and government, where do you think America goes too far and where does, dude, Thomas, where do you think where do you think the U.S. goes too far? And where does it need to crack down? Where's the U.S. need to crack down?
I feel like when I see candidates like kind of insulting other candidates and like criticizing how they dealt with other world leaders, they just kind of put them in a very, very bad, weak view to the world, because I don't think you realize that the whole world is watching you. And like when you attack the president or like constantly insult them, you kind of underestimate the U.S. because he is the president of the United States. I feel like there should be like more of kind of, I don't know.
Wait, Americans, do you hear that? Like, why are you, the world is watching. And when we're speaking vulgarities about one another and about leaders or about your professor, which you never would do, but
can I add something to that? Okay, so my people are not as to our government are not as united as they are. So we do critique our country and our government a lot, but the thing that I would say that even we stop, and our government also stops about that, is when it comes to race. Because in my country, there are maybe like more than 50 different races about like all around the world. Mm-hmm. We have like Iranian, Turkish. We even have Iranian, I don't know how to put this, that won't sound racist because English is not my first language, but we even have like people that are black or people of color. I don't know, I feel bad saying this, but we even do have those, and our government, like, that's when they stop.
You mean the government really demands equality?
Yes, and that's the only thing that I think America should also do.
Yeah, so it cracks down in that way. Yeah, that's really interesting. Dude, hey, we have to No. I think we only have 2 minutes left. We got to just cut. Hey, can you all... Hey, thanks for the conversation. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, do your moment, man. All right. No, it's a good question. Yo, be safe. Yo, have a good weekend and be safe this weekend.
Y'all,
right?
really quick, if